most of the content on TikTok is less than 1 minute long. So I would ask myself this question: does that make the language I use in that 1 minute less important or more important? I would answer more important. And some people will say it denigrates the value, the quality of your writing. I would say, no, it doesn't. It illustrates and highlights the importance of every single word, every pause, every change in intonation, in pacing, in cadence. If I want somebody to take something seriously, I might begin to speak more softly with more silences. That's copywriting. It's all copyright. I could be very happy about telling you something, or I could be very somber about telling you something. I believe that at the highest expression for all creators, it's important the words we choose and the sequence in which we choose them and who we're saying them to and when they're delivered and why. It becomes more important, not less. And I do believe the quality of your life is directly determined by the quality of your communication. So just being able to be articulate and express your thoughts competently, especially for copywriters. If you listen to other people and you can clearly articulate back to them what their position is, what their pain is, what their discomfort is, so that they know you understand them, so they feel heard and seen and understood, then the world opens up. You can suddenly communicate with people who are very different from you in a very powerful, deep way.
Hello everyone. Today I have the pleasure of introducing to you the author of the best-selling book, How to Write Copy That Sells. He's a communications strategist, master copywriter who also runs the Copywriting Academy. I'm talking about none other than Ray Edwards. Ray, welcome to the Thousand Faces Club.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, let's start with a fun segment. I'll give you a word and you'll have to give me the first word that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Copywriting.
Persuasion.
ChatGPT.
Beautiful.
Life.
More beautiful.
Wow.
A gift.
God.
A gift.
God.
Reality.
Wow. Great answers, particularly the ChatGPT one is really interesting. We'll touch upon that later.
I saw the expression on your face when I answered that way. You seemed surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised to be frank here. I thought, there will be a purist kind of approach to, a new tool, because people don't like it when some kind of disruption happens, right? So,
That's
so
where
yeah,
I'm different. I love disruption.
let's touch upon that only. Why do you find ChatGPT beautiful?
Because it enables writers and creators to be more creative, faster, to skip the early iteration of ideas, to get to the first draft more quickly and more confidently. And I know a lot of people are upset about it. A lot of people are frightened by it, that they're going to be replaced by it. And I think that the people who can be replaced by ChatGPT should be replaced by ChatGPT, because all it does is it raises the bar on mediocrity. For those of us who are craftspeople who love what we do, it's a tool. It's just like a typewriter or a keyboard or dictation software. It helps me do my work better and faster.
So how are you using ChatGPT nowadays? Have you employed it? Of course, I guess you have.
We use it in lots of different ways. I use it for first drafts. I use it to do market research for clients and for our own company, to look at the competition, to do SWOT analyses. So SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We use it to create spreadsheets, agendas, travel itineraries, so many things. It makes so much easier for us. And we've actually developed our own copywriting AI, where we uploaded my proprietary data set, is the proper terminology for it. Uploaded all my copy, all my winning sales letters, my book, my frameworks, my teachings, my course into the cloud for our copywriting AI. And we use it to write, I use it personally to write my own copy faster, and it writes like me. So I'm not threatened by it. It empowers me. Wow,
Wonderful. You've devoted your life to copywriting, or in a way helping other people get better. So, what motivates you at this point in life, right? Because you have done so much already.
What motivates me at this point in life? Well, living and experiencing. I look at every day as a gift. I truly do. A little over 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and I recently underwent a radical treatment for that called deep brain stimulation surgery, which I had reached a point where I was almost completely disabled, unable to do what we're doing right now, unable to sit upright and have a conversation over video. But now I can do that again. I can drive my car again. I can travel. I can write. I can run my business. because this beautiful thing that science made available to me called
Right.
deep brain stimulation surgery. So that it's like it wound back the clock almost 10 years on the disease. And I look at every day now as just an extraordinary gift I've gotten on top of what I already had. So I enjoy the adventure of running a business, of writing, of taking photographs, making videos, being able to be on YouTube. What a magnificent gift YouTube is. I know we love to complain about these
Amazing.
companies, but
Yeah.
Google has provided us with this enormous gift where we can have our own platform, we can have our own television station by all rights and
Yeah.
purposes, and we
Yeah.
can broadcast to the world, we can build an audience, and we do it for free.
Yeah.
Google doesn't charge me, YouTube doesn't charge me anything to be on
It in
their
fact
platform.
pays you, right? Yeah. If
Yes,
you
exactly. Well, what a wonderful time to be alive.
Absolutely, sir. And I watched that short film, A Person with Parkinson's, and I must say I was deeply moved by your faith, by your, the support that you got from your wife and the church that you go to. I mean, it's just beautiful, sir. I was truly moved, and I can't say how inspiring that piece of, video is. It's amazing, sir.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's been the new gift I've been given is I've had people contact me from all over the world asking about the surgery I had, even though it's not new. It's been around for 30 years. And I know people who underwent this treatment 20 years ago and are still benefiting from it. And yet there's so many people who did not know about it. I think because it's kind of frightening to think about having brain surgery. I know
Yeah.
it was for me, but now I'm an advocate for it. I talk to potential patients all over the world. I've talked to about a dozen patients so far who, because they saw that video, went and had the surgery and have recovered and are doing so much better. And to imagine people contacting you and saying, thank you for helping change my life for the better. What a gift, what a privilege, and what a great time to be alive.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Uh, Jordan Peterson often says that if you can read, write, and speak well, you become unstoppable. Basically. So
Yes.
what do you think of this statement? How do you expand on that?
Well, I love what Jordan has to say about these things. I say it as if I know him. I know him through his work. I've never met him, but I've been influenced deeply by him. And to me, that's a testament to the veracity of what he said. Because if you can be articulate and convey your ideas competently in a way that's persuasive to other people, you can have enormous impact in the world. As I just demonstrated through my stories about the surgery, sharing that story articulately has helped numerous people all over the globe. And then it doesn't have to be something that grandiose. It can
Right.
be being articulate about your local business. Like my son and I own a coffee shop here in Spokane, Washington. It's a small business, very small coffee shop, but it's very meaningful to the people that we serve who come in every day, who love to be greeted, who love the sense of community we've created. So being able to be articulate about what we stand for as a coffee shop, fair trade,
Yeah.
local business, personal contact with our customers, building a thriving community, welcoming people of all sorts of beliefs and ideas, and they come in, it's a place to gather. So just
Right.
being able to be articulate and express your thoughts competently, if you can do that, and then if you can listen to other people, this is the key skill.
Yeah.
Even for copywriters, especially for copywriters and marketers, if you listen to other people and you can clearly articulate back to them what their position is, what their pain is, what their discomfort is, so that they know you understand them, so they feel heard and seen and understood, then the world opens up. You can suddenly communicate with people who are very different from you in a very powerful, deep way. So I think Dr. Peterson is exactly right in what he says about the ability to communicate.
Do you think there is a difference between being clever and being truthful with writing? Because when I try to be clever, when I try to be smart with what I know, and I write something, it doesn't really reverberates with other people. But when I just simply let myself be, that's just my experience. What do you think?
I think you're correct. I agree with you completely. Being clever and being clear does not have to be, they don't have to be antithetical, but they're not necessarily related to one another. It's so easy when we're writing advertising and marketing copy to be clever. And yet that often does not communicate the real message you're trying to get across. So I like to tell people, I'd rather you be clear than be clever. And that in itself, if you could just think about how can I clearly articulate this message in a way that's meaningful to the other person, that's the biggest leap you can take into being very persuasive with your words. Clarity.
Right. And what lies beyond technical superiority when it comes to, taking your copywriting skills to the next level?
What lies beyond technical superiority? Help me understand what you mean by technical superiority.
I mean, you know how to write basically, and you reach a certain level. How do you up your game after that?
For me, it's a complicated answer, but that's okay, because I think in today's world, we are too quick to want a simple answer to a complex question. And I think that often it's not possible to do that. We live in the world of sound bites, and sometimes I think we need to sit down and have a discussion. So for me, the things that are more important, I mean when I say more important than technical proficiency, are the deep desire to have empathy for other human beings, to understand the things that bother them, that cause them discomfort, to help bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And that means you have to know where they are now and where they want to be in relation to anything we're talking about, whether it's their political affiliation or their coffee shop of choice or the book they're going to read next, or whether they're going to go on a date with you. It's understanding where they are first. Dr. Stephen Covey wrote in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that one of those habits is to seek first to understand, then to be understood. Because it was his premise that the most basic psychological need human beings have is the need to be understood. And that is psychological oxygen to us. And until we get the oxygen, we don't feel we can breathe. It's like if I could magically suck the air out of the room where you are right now, you would no longer be focused on what I'm saying. You'd be like, get me out of here. I need to take a breath of air.
Yeah.
So I think being present with people is so rare today. I mean, I'm present with you right now. I'm not looking at any of my screens. I'm not paying attention to anything else. I'm looking at you. I'm having a conversation with you and asking myself, how can I understand what will serve you and your audience best in this moment? And if we can just do that, be present, be indistractable, as Nir Eyal says in his book by the same name, then that overcomes so many other hindrances that we may have in communication and in life. Because I do believe the quality of your life is directly determined by the quality of your communication. Absolutely. And communication is, let's think about what communication is for a moment. It's kind of miraculous. We have language, which is what makes us different from all other animals. I mean, we think other animals have ways of communicating that maybe we're only beginning to understand, but no other animal has the ability to form language and have external cognition, where we write the information down. It's outside of our brain. We have our brain and we have our mind. And our mind is everything on the internet, all the documents we've written, all the things on our hard drive and our Apple Notes. And the fact that we have that language is a huge asset, and it's also a barrier, because it's like somebody asked me just yesterday, do you believe in God? Mm-hmm. And I had to stop and say, well, what do you mean by that word? What do you mean by belief? What do you mean by God? And we have to agree on those things first. And I think my point is we assume we know what someone means when they ask that question. Yeah. But that's a presumption. It's not an assumption, it's a presumption. I'm curious. The characteristic I've learned to develop more as I've gotten a little older is curiosity. I'm curious what makes a person ask that question. Why do they ask it that way? What do they mean by those words? What is their background from which they're coming? that causes them to want to know the answer? Why does it matter what I believe to them? These are all questions worth exploring. And some people accuse me of getting too complicated when we're just talking about sales copy, like writing sales copy. I think I don't think it's too complicated. I think we're often, especially in the world of marketing and business, we're too quick to assume we know what people mean and what they want. And it leads to so many business failures and miserable situations because we don't take the time to understand one another.
Right. And you're right. I mean, communication is such a fascinating thing, how we just, tune into other person's, emotions and just agree to, communicate on that particular level. It reminds me of Wes Anderson's film. I don't know if you've watched it or not, The Darjeeling Limited. I mean, three
I
brothers,
love that film. Yes.
they're just trying to communicate, and they just can't. I mean, throughout the film, they're failing to, replicate each other's emotions. So fascinating. It's really interesting. Moving to your business, sir, there are many programs that you run. So let's talk about them. There is a program called One Person, 1 Million USD Business. How is it different from your other classes?
Well, it's a really good question because in a way, it's not very different from what I've been teaching for a long time. It's just another way of framing it, another way of talking about the subject. And to me, what the one person, $1 million business model is about is it's about how technology makes it possible for us to use digital leverage to do things we could not do 50 years ago. It was not possible to start $1 million business. Well, it was extraordinarily difficult. It was possible.
Yeah.
For one person to run $1 million business 50 years ago was almost impossible. Now, because we have these digital platforms like YouTube and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, maybe.
Yeah.
These are all platforms that allow us to get our message to spread if it's worth spreading, to communicate in a vast way. They're automations and deliverability mechanisms that make it possible for us to distribute our teaching, our wisdom, our systems, our applications globally at virtually no cost. And so that's the same thing I was teaching 10 years ago before there was any such thing as truly publicly ubiquitous artificial intelligence and automation tools that are available now. But now it's become infinitely more accessible to everyone. And that's why I'm so excited about AI. I know there's a lot of people that are being disrupted by AI, and I have empathy for that. If you're a photographer, a videographer, a writer, someone who's a creative, and you've lost jobs, you've lost clients. I know many people who have. We've had some of that ourselves, but that's okay because if the artificial intelligence services can replace us in any situation, we should be replaced. My premise is I want to bring so much more to the table than just cranking out a decent sales page. I want to bring so much more to the equation that it would be impossible for me to be replaced by ChatGPT or any of the other tools that are currently now available or become available. Because here's what I don't think is going to happen. I don't think these tools are conscious. I don't think they're going to become conscious anytime soon. I could be wrong.
Thank God for that.
If I am, then we'll see what happens after that. But I think the human spirit of creativity and of love and empathy and wanting to do the best thing for the most number of people, I know we live in a world where it's popular to have very dystopian opinions about the future, very negative opinions about what's happening, to get very frightened. But I also know I don't believe that's the ultimate end of our story. I think the ultimate end of our story is we get better at treating one another better. And we have available to us now the tools we need to end disease, genocide, violence, tyranny, and make the world a more equitable place for everyone. That's what gets me excited. So I know that's a far cry from talking about my product, about the $1 million one person business, but that's part of the equation. There's so many ways that shows up. these technologies help us. That's just one way. And it's one way that I tend to specialize in is business and entrepreneurship and teaching people how they can be part of that. And especially people who are my age. I'm Gen X,
Gen
the
X. Yeah.
edge. My wife's a boomer. I missed
Okay.
the boomer generation by 1 year. So, and there's so many people that are boomers and Gen Xers who feel like they're ostracized by this technology. And I'm saying to them, no, come in. This is where we need you, because you bring something to the table that others don't, which is wisdom and experience. And here in America, we tend to devalue our older generation. We tend to devalue our elders, which is so sad because they're so wise. They have such a breadth and depth of experience and wisdom that we should tap into and honor that. So as part of my mission is helping that happen for more people.
Absolutely. And I think when you bring more Gen X, more boomer generation into this, of course they bring their wisdom, and I think gratitude becomes a big part of the equation, which is lacking in our generation, I guess. So yeah, I totally agree.
It's not just your generation. It's gratitude it's something we forget about until we have a very good reason to be reminded.
That's true.
As I have had, other people have had, everybody has these moments in our lives where we realize, oh, this is a gift for me to be able to be here and have this conversation right now. Despite whatever problems I may feel like I'm dealing with, I'm just grateful to be alive.
Absolutely. How do you look at the usage of emojis in copywriting?
I enjoy it.
Okay.
I loved the graphic arts when I was growing up. I loved comic books. I loved graphic novels. I'm a big fan of books that have illustrations in them because we are visual creatures. We respond to visual representation so readily. Why would we not take advantage of that? I mean, think about writing as a visual art.
Yeah.
It's just like some people want to make it as boring as possible. I don't think that's a great idea. So yeah, I would caution people to use the tools that are appropriate in the context in which you're operating. So if it's my first communication with a neurosurgeon, for instance, I'm probably not going to send him an email full of emojis unless I know him.
Yeah.
I do happen to know a neurosurgeon really well. He literally got inside my head, and so I can send him emojis, and it's okay. Just be appropriate to the venue in which you're speaking.
Yeah.
I guess is my message.
Absolutely. And to add to the visual aspect, I mean, Martin Scorsese one time said that even the written word is a picture, right, of a sound. So
Yes.
yeah. How can you become better at assessing the quality of your own copy?
Well, one way is to assess the results of your copy. If it sells more than the last piece of copy you wrote, then you know it's more effective. Is it better writing? I would answer yes, because it's better at achieving its goal. Some people who are more literarily inclined might say, no, it's not better writing. It's simpler, more colloquial. I would say, well, that's better in this case. Another way to assess the quality of your writing is to read it out loud to another human being. There's something about reading your own words out loud that exposes the weaknesses in the sentence structure and the word choice and the difficulty of reading certain passages. And then reading it out loud to another human layers another element on top, which is you're looking for the response from the other person. And the moment you're reading something to someone that you wrote, and then you see the look of confusion on their face, you will stop and say, "What did something confuse you? Was that not clear?" That's very helpful, reading out loud to another human being. And then also just reading more of the kind of writing you aspire to do. I read a great piece of copywriting probably just about every day. Not my own writing, someone else's. A piece that I know worked well, that I admire. A friend of mine, Mike Morgan, calls this your daily copywriting vitamin. So I look at it like that. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm reading good copy. And then I also think of all writing as copywriting. So whether I'm reading a book by Dr. Jordan Peterson or I'm reading a book by William Faulkner, that's copy. Nora Ephron, the great filmmaker, she's fond of saying everything is copy, meaning everything is usable in the form of writing to communicate ideas and images and emotions. So I think the same way. Everything is copy. So reading good copy and then writing lots of copy.
Right.
Those are ways that will help you get better faster.
So when you were young, you used to read all the pamphlets that used to come with the newsletters. I saw that in the documentary, short film. Sorry. Do you still do that? Do you still read all the ads that come?
Yes, I do. I save the ones I like, the ones, especially the ones that cause me to buy things. I'm like, now, why did that work? I should be immune to this, but I'm not. I succumbed to the message. I want to know why. What made me respond to this one and not that one? So yes, I'm still a student, still a fan, still learning something new every day.
Amazing to hear that. Ray, you say that no matter what business you're in, copywriting is one key that will make or break you. So does it apply to all creators? Because we see a lot of people creating video content, particularly on TikTok, Instagram. Do they really need to be, do they really need to up their copywriting game as well? For
Yes,
example,
absolutely. Because let's take TikTok as an example. Most of the content on TikTok is less than 1 minute long. Not
yeah,
all of it. You can do longer content now, but most of it is less than 1 minute long, especially the stuff that makes you discoverable to a larger audience. So I would ask myself this question. Does that make the language I use in that 1 minute less important or more important? I would answer more important. And some people will say, well, that denigrates the value, the quality of your writing. I would say, no, it doesn't. It illustrates and highlights the importance of every single word, every pause, every change in intonation, in pacing and cadence. If I want somebody to take something seriously, I might begin to speak more softly with more silences. That's copywriting. It's all copywriting.
okay,
So it's thinking about the words you're saying, yes, but all the other ways in which we communicate by our verbal expressions. I could be very happy about telling you something, or I could be very somber about telling you something. So I believe that at the highest expression for all creators, it's important the words we choose and the sequence in which we choose them and who we're saying them to and when they're delivered and why. It becomes more important, not less.
right. Well, someone said that when you meet a wise person, you should ask them what books do they read. So yeah, can you please tell us your favorite books, top 5, top 2, anything about what you're reading nowadays will also do.
I'm currently reading a book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan called 10X is Easier Than 2X.
Okay.
It's a business book and it's very good. One of my favorite books of all time is called Atlas Shrugged by
Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand. I've read that book multiple times. I really have a high regard for it. I also like the books of Austin Kleon, who wrote a book called Steal Like an Artist. He
Okay.
has another book called Show Your Work and another book called Keep Going. Love his work. Those are a few of the influential books in my life. The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand is another book I have high regard for. I've read the Bible quite a lot. I also am enjoying studying other religious traditions and their texts as well. So the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the
Yeah.
Tao Te Ching are all books that I have
Yeah.
very limited understanding of, but I'm trying to learn. I'm a
Wonderful.
student.
Wonderful. Bhagavad Gita is, by the way, trending because of Oppenheimer, the film, because used to read
I
it.
am become death, the destroyer of
Yeah,
worlds. Yes. I
absolutely.
haven't been to see the film yet, but I'm excited to go see it.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful. So, Ray, last ritual we make our guests go through. Would you like to nominate anyone for our show?
Yes. Would I like to nominate anyone for your show? I would nominate, this is going to seem self-serving, my co-author on my latest book. His name is Jeff Goins,
Wonderful.
and he
We'll
wrote
reach
a
out to
book
him.
called Real Artists Don't Starve.
Wow, that's
Very,
motivating.
very,
Yeah.
yes. So that's my nominee.
It's wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving us your invaluable time. We love your work and your zeal and your spirit. I mean, the way you're living your life is an example for all of us. And I bow down to your genius, your creativity. And thank you. Thank you once again.
Well, the honor is mine. I love your work. I was getting caught up on your podcast over the last few days. I love what you're doing. I encourage you to keep going. You're doing a good work. And we need more people like you doing a good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And cut. That's it for today's episode, guys. If you really liked it, please subscribe to the 1000 Faces Club and press the bell icon below so that you don't miss any videos from us. Thank you.